Butterflies are some of the most beautiful insects in our garden, so we're really excited to host this festival for the first time. We're really excited about the release of the Monarchs. Hopefully, in my mind's eye, my vision is there's going to be a lot of children around and a lot of people witnessing this event. We're hosting our first ever annual festival for butterflies here at Stanley's Greenhouse called On the Wing. And again, it comes out of this passion of really supporting our species of pollinators. We started in the beginning of the year to focus more on our native bee species.
We're trying to get people to promote planting flowers that attract pollinators. So you need to plant flowers that have a lot of nectar, or they're good host plants for the caterpillar stage. The opportunity is really out there now for us to be able to benefit not only ourselves but the whole environment, the whole pollinating system, and to put more bees and butterflies out there to pollinate our food crops as well. Because if we don't have the pollinators, our food production is going to be way drastically reduced. When we found out they were available to purchase, we thought this would be a great opportunity to release and see people actually see the butterflies flying out over the meadow.
You're free, you're free.
Then these monarchs will integrate into the population we already have, and they'll be migrating back to Mexico.
Some of these monarchs will end up back in the same groves of trees that they first came up from in January and February of this year. So the monarchs that we release, there's a potential that they're going to meet up with their monarch friends and then travel back down south to Mexico. So we hope that happens. That is ultimately our goal here. The reason why it's so important is that I think a lot of people don't realize that 1 out of every 3 bites of food comes from a pollinator species. If we lose our pollinators, we lose our food, we lose our crops.
By planting these perennials that attract butterflies, you're able to, provide food source for them and help the population rebound. There's so many different flowers now that can be planted for that purpose. The asters, eupatorium, chrysanthemums. Basically, any kind of a flower that has a little daisy-shaped bloom is really good for butterflies because it gives them a little place to land and sip the nectar out of the blooms.
Native plants are acclimated to our climate cycles and soil types. So it makes most sense to install native plants into your landscape and gardens. And the pollinator species, because there's been such a decline, not only in non-natives such as the honeybee, the hummingbird, and the monarch, but primarily in our native species of pollinators, like our bee species and butterflies. So Monty and I decided over the past few years to really begin to build up the native plant section and to educate and inform our customers and the public about the importance of bringing those very important insects into our yards.
Well, for the nectar source, I think the best one is our native Joe Pye weed. The cone flowers are great pollinators. Wherever you see those, you'll have butterflies around. And then there's other plants that are grown as hosts, like the butterfly weed, Asclepias, there's the tuberosa, and the incarnata. I've always felt like we were very blessed to be able to be in this kind of a business because we're helping to improve the environment and we're doing beautification at the same time. And now we're able to, help increase the pollinator population. So it's really an exciting time, and it's a whole new area that we're becoming familiar with because there's certain plants that we grow as a nectar source, and then there's also host plants that we grow to feed the caterpillar stage.
What I would like people to understand is that those species of insects are native plants. They're supposed to be here. They help to keep us healthy and alive, and it's never just a drop in the bucket. That's the incredible thing about the numbers of monarchs and their decline. About a decade ago, they actually declined by 90%. So in the world, there were only 10% of monarchs left. Well, because of the great efforts of greenhouses, growers, a home gardener, people that now grow those insects themselves, it has increased substantially. So they're supposed to be here. Nothing is ever a drop in the bucket. If you just take one plant home and you draw one kind of bee species, you're making a difference. And every little bit counts.